The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I want to share with you a story that I heard firsthand from a neighbor on a block that I grew up many years on East 13th Street between L&M and Brooklyn, where my parents still live till today. We have a neighbor there by the name of the Weiss family who told us a firsthand eyewitness account of the incredible story what I'm about to tell you now. And if this wasn't firsthand, and if this wasn't an eyewitness, I don't know if I would venture to be standing here and telling this to you. But once I heard it from the person who witnessed it, I'd like to share it. The Weiss family, their daughter got married, their children got married, and they had grandchildren. One of the grandchildren, at a young age, was diagnosed with a very serious sickness, with leukemia. Certain type of leukemia in the blood that's very rare by anyone, let alone children. But this child had it, and they were told that the best place to treat it is a specialty hospital out in Boston. Now, this wasn't the typical Boston hospitals that you'll hear about from other mahalot. This was a specialty hospital out in the sticks and out of town mainstream Boston, that their specialty is only leukemia. And they had a pediatric department that was able to possibly help this young child from the Weiss family. Now, there's a great organization out there today, an organization that when they find out that any family, and we should never know from this, but when they find out any family that's struggling with a family member and a very serious sickness, you know what they do? They find a different family in Am Yisrael that went through the same sickness and prevailed. And then they call up that family and pair the two together, and the family who went through it already and saw a happy ending will be able to come now to the family that's going through it and be like a support group, to give them hizuk, to give them inspiration, to tell them, we've been there, we've gone through what you're going through now, and we saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and we know exactly step by step what you're experiencing, and we can help you get through it. Because we were there, and we got through it. What a great organization. They put cancer patients together with ex-cancer patients, leukemia patients together with old leukemia patients. And they lean on each other in a support group way. And that's what they did for the Weiss family. They heard that the Weiss family, their granddaughter, had leukemia. So they found another Jewish family that years earlier, one of their children had leukemia and lived healthily through, unbelievably so. And they paired the two families together to the extent that this family now, the support family, the family that's going to give the hizuk to the Weiss family, they heard that the Weisses went out and flew out to Boston to get the proper medical treatment. The family decided they're going to fly out to Boston as well. Ashreichem Yisrael. Only in Am Yisrael do they tell these stories. They went out on their own dime, bought their own tickets, flew out to Boston, just to give hizuk to another Jewish family who's going through something that they went through years ago, and they can give them inspiration to get through. How lucky we are to be part of Am Yisrael. How lucky we are. Asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. This is what makes us who we are. These stories. And they flew out to Boston. And they came out there. And they were told by the Weiss family that this particular hospital that they went to, like I mentioned earlier, it's out in the boondocks, and it's not the main city, Boston. It's out somewhere out the outskirts of Boston. Specialty in leukemia. It was like somewhere in the mountains. So they needed, in those days, they didn't have navigations. They didn't even have MapQuest. It was the old days. The days that probably nobody here really remembers. I feel kind of white-haired at the moment, but you know, the days when we actually used to stop by gas stations and ask for directions. You don't even know what I'm talking about. Okay, but anyways, they gave them the directions. They called them up from the airport. We just landed. We want to come now to the hospital. The Weiss family. They gave them directions exactly how to drive up to the mountains outside of Boston and to find right off of a particular exit this hospital. And this family now is driving out, and they're following the directions step by step, inch by inch. And sure enough, like most Jewish families, in a place that they were really never before, they got lost. Didn't know where they were. Had no clue. till finally they come up to a toll booth. They turn to the lady in the toll and they say, "Excuse me, ma'am, we're looking for this and this leukemia hospital. Can you tell us where we can find it? We're totally lost." So the lady with a smile turns and says, "Absolutely. You didn't lose it. You're not that far off. Go a little bit further up, a few miles, and get out. This is already the exit for it, and you'll find exactly where you're going to. You'll find the hospital." And then the lady in the toll turns to them and says, "Tell me, you guys aren't from here. Who are you going to visit in the hospital? Is it family?" And they said, "Well, it's sort of like family. The truth is it's a Jewish family that their granddaughter is going through leukemia, and we're going to go now and we're going to give them a boost. We're going to give them chizuk. We're going to give them inspiration." The lady says, "Really? Wow. You know what we used to do back town where I come from? Back in town where I come from, anytime we heard that there was someone in town that got sick, but a serious sickness, we gathered all the people of the town together in the town square, in the town city hall, and we would have a community prayer. And every time we made a community prayer, somehow we always had divine help, and things always worked out for the people we prayed for when we had a community prayer." And it's interesting. The family looked at each other, coming from a Goya. This was an eye-opener. Community prayer. And they said, "Thank you. That's a great word of advice. Maybe when we go back home, when we go back to Lakewood, maybe we'll also make a community prayer. Thank you." They drove off. They saw the exit up front, took the exit, followed the directions that the lady in the toll booth told them, made their way finally to the hospital. They come into the hospital. They come upstairs to the 6th floor where the Weiss family was there with their granddaughter. And you know how things are. The first minute, things are a little bit awkward. People are looking for ways to make conversation. So the family comes in. "Hi, how's she feeling? How's everything?" Small talk. And then finally, the Weiss family turns to them and says, "So, did we give you good directions? Were you able to find the hospital well?" They laughed to each other and they said, "Well, to tell you the truth, we tried to follow the directions, but we still got lost. Lucky for us that we bumped into that sweet lady by the toll booth, by the exit, but she told us exactly where to go. And you want to hear something funny? We were so stunned. A Goya turns to us and asks us where we're going to, who are the people. She starts telling us about community prayers." It was amazing. We didn't expect that from a lady in a toll booth. The Weiss family is looking at them and said, "What? What toll booth? There is no toll booth around here. What toll booth? We gave you the directions. We know the exit. We've driven back and forth here now a few times. There's no toll booth around here." The family looks at the Weisses and says, "No, but there is. We just drove through it. We paid the toll. We had a whole schmooze with the lady. She even told us about the community prayers. We all saw it. We all saw her." And the Weisses are scratching their heads, looking at each other, saying, "What are they talking about? There's absolutely no toll booth anywhere in the vicinity." The Weisses saw something's up. Something's very funny here. They all go out into their cars, and they all drive out back together, out to the highway, to find the mysterious toll booth. They come out to the highway, and lo and behold, this is what they see. They see right by the front of the exit, there's an old, rickety, broken down toll booth. Hasn't been used, looks like 50 years. Nobody in it, no one around. And the message was delivered. Community prayer. Bring everybody together and then pray. Bring everybody together and then do chesed. Bring everybody together and then do the mitzvah. Then bake the challah. Then do the hafrasha. But bring everyone together. Shkalim. That's the way you're going to bring the Shekhinah. That's the essence behind the Yeshuot of Am Yisrael. Community prayer. Bring them all together to do what you're doing, and the result will be exponential. It'll be awesome. It'll create fireworks and bring down Yeshuot that we need so desperately. Knock out the Shkalim of Haman, and let's get the Shkalim of Am Yisrael going. Our Shkalim, our community efforts, our community mitzvot. It knocks out the Shkalim of Haman. It gives us the Yeshuot and the protection like the Gemara Megillah tells us. And sure enough, when they saw this incredible open miracle, the Weiss family and the Lakewood family, right when they got back to Lakewood, the message wasn't only received, it was implemented. They got back to Lakewood, They gathered together, hundreds and hundreds of people in Lakewood, and they made a community tefillah for this little girl, leukemia in Boston. 6 months later, she was discharged from the hospital with a clean bill of health. That's a community tefillah. That's shkalim. That's what the Mishkan was there for, to unify and unite and get everybody to throw their merit and zechut to one person, two people, the people who need it, and let that stir the heavens.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org